I haven't done this in quite some time. And it feels good. It feels weird, but it also feels good. It's way too hot today to be doing something like this and to be skating around. I'm sweating so much. I thought about showing my visage for quite some time now, but it seemed most fitting now. Skateboarding has been a huge part of my childhood and teenage years, and I mean, it was later replaced by vert inline skating, but it was still always and is still so much fun to me. I mean, I was never really good at it, to be honest. I mean, I managed some 50-50s and some indies over the fun box at our skate park, but that was about it. I probably could have been much better had I spent more time actually skating than playing skating video games. Being a PlayStation kid, the choice between Skate and Tony Hawk's was quite obvious. I've, to be honest, never played Skate. I've only seen bits of it, and it seems to me that they are two very, very different games about skateboarding. And there's a truck going by. To the honk, honk, honk. Now I skipped THPS 1 and jumped directly into its successor, but after that I played every game from the main line up to American Wasteland. But 2 games before that, something monumentally changed in the Tony Hawk series. It was the celebration of individuality that was Tony Hawk's Underground.
I played THPS 3 a lot and 4 quite a bit. Underground was gonna be my next big thing, even though I obviously didn't know that at the time. It opens up very strongly, cinematic cutscenes and, a novum for the series, a fully voiced main character. The character creation was, especially for the time and the type of game, quite far-reaching. Especially the size and color options are so varied, allowing you to create anything from a sort of you-looking guy or gal to a crazy alien. And just like that, the game drops you into its first level, New Jersey. Looking back at it now, Thugs, yeah, no, levels weren't that much bigger than THPS 4's, I think, but they felt like it, and even if they were, they sometimes felt a bit empty. Especially San Diego and Tampa are very guilty of this, but Moscow, Hawaii or Manhattan totally make up for it. Then again, I gotta give credit to Neversoft, who actually made these levels as big as the engine could handle before crashing, and then shrunk them down just enough to not crash.
And this increased size is where an important part of the appeal of Underground came into play, the ability to walk. THPS 4 already had the idea of an open level structure, where you would just approach NPCs on your board and press, I don't know, circle maybe? I can't remember, on a PlayStation, I think so, yeah. And then you talk to them and they will give you some quest that is mostly similar to the ones we know from the earlier entries, like getting combo and high scores and collecting stuff. But in Underground, you could not only choose your own quests or missions, but you could approach the people by foot, which is just so much more immersive. You take the board up into your hands and you approach someone and you're like, hey, what can I do for you? Instead of wiggling around on your board and trying to stop and then missing them. And if you've played THPS 4, you know what I'm talking about. I am wet. It's disgusting. I haven't showered today because I knew it was coming, so I figured, why shower?
With this new mechanic, Underground gave us some mostly basic fetch quests, which later became at least a bit more interesting by requiring us to mix skating and walking to reach places high up. It wasn't a totally necessary change and is painfully basic compared to American Wasteland, but still. When I saw the ability to walk in-game being advertised on the back of the DVD box, I was so excited. In the end, I would never want the mechanic to be missing from the game, but it got quite repetitive after a while. Repetitiveness is a huge aspect of the game actually, but it is quite excusable. I mean, what can you really do in terms of gameplay variation in a game that is solely about skateboarding? The walking thing helps quite a lot, and there are like half a dozen very clunky driving missions, but in the end you are skating your board pretty much all the time. To make this as interesting as possible, Neversoft has you do combos, reach high places, get high scores, do specific tricks in specific locations or at specific times, and of course makes you collect stuff. A lot of stuff.
The game is not really hard. Back in the day I finished it on every difficulty level quite easily, I think, and this time around I decided to go with medium just to get ahead of any frustration that would most likely be kicking in, because I am 3 times as old as I've been back then. And I guess I thought I would be a little bit rusty. But to my surprise, I managed to do everything just fine. I think medium is really easy, to me at least, which does not mean that I didn't fail miserably a lot of times, but not because it was particularly difficult, but because my own hubris and arrogance made me do the quests in a cool way. Oh, you gotta escape from the druggies in a cool way instead of just going the safe route, and then you fail and you fail again and you fail again and you fail again. But not because it is hard, but because I'm an idiot. Though I gotta admit, the whole THPS challenge thing during the team tape at the end of the game, that was hard. That was sincerely hard to do, and I failed it so many times. Sometimes out of stupidity, I will admit that, but most of the times just because that's so fucking hard. And that whole concept of replaying old levels to find secret spots and revisiting them with new skaters is a really cool concept. It gives you some kind of closure, and it makes you feel like, hey, I remember, I've seen this one, I've seen that one, but oh, I could do this, I could do that. That's just, I like it. Picasso.
We should talk about the word written in big bold letters in the thumbnail now. Individuality. For the time of its release, 2003, I feel like the customization options are endless. The box art of the game boldly advertises that you can make the game truly yours, and they are right. You can customize your character, hair, skin, height, length and width of several bodily features, clothing, color of clothing, logos, position and size of logos, your deck, grip tape, wheels. You can customize the menus, choose a color option that fits either your style or your sponsor. You can activate and deactivate several HUD elements, activate and deactivate songs, and so much more.
Looking at it from today's perspective, there's a plethora of video games that offer similar or even way more advanced customization options than this game, obviously. And some of the customization options have either been around for quite some time, like the Park Editor, or have actually been simplified, like spending money on stat points and then deciding into which skill you want to put those stat points. This is simplified in Underground because you just get stat points when you do cool shit. But back then it blew me away. As you progress through the story, you unlock more and more customization options. You can do this and you can do that, and you're like, oh, now I can design my own board because I'm a pro, and I will just put skulls everywhere because I am 11 and skulls are amazing. So unlike many more modern games, the game doesn't overwhelm you with a huge amount of options right from the start, but even up into the last levels tells you, oh, there's this that you can do, and oh, there's that you can do. And do you know what a hip transfer is? Yes, obviously I know what a hip transfer is. I've been playing this game for 50 hours. Later entries into the series advanced the customization to insane level. American Wasteland had a stupid amount of options you could choose from, and it was objectively better at it. But there's just something special about the first time, the first game to do something that is this groundbreaking for a series. I don't even know if I can ollie anymore, to be honest. Holy shit, it's been a while, and I'm so goddamn out of shape. Works.
Apart from the customization stuff, the gameplay does have some interesting aspects as well. While choosing the order of your missions was introduced in the predecessor already, it's another well-fitting element in a game that's all about individuality. The parts of the game that are not up to you, luckily, are well designed too. When you restart the game, it directly loads you into the level of your last save instead of throwing you into the main menu. How smart is that? The game has a type of time progression that's of course not a full day and night cycle like we are used to these days, but with every major plot point in the story, we change either the location or the time of day. As I said earlier, you unlock different customization options over time, and that gives you another point of progression, of a feeling of success. Skill points, decks, levels and tricks are what made the series. It's the bread and butter of the first 4 games. So especially for those people who just wanted another gameplay game without much care for a story, they weren't left behind. Speaking of the story, it is good.
Like, not an A+ writing way, obviously, but it's unapologetically 2000s, and it's amazing. The voice acting, albeit sometimes a bit spotty, is just so funny. The jokes are a bit cringe and cheesy at times, but what do you expect? It's the early 2000s. Underground, Underground 2 and American Wasteland released at the zenith of Jackass, Viva la Bam and all this stuff, and I loved it back then, and I still kind of love it today.
Thug lets you play as a custom skater yourself, an amateur from New Jersey on their way to the top. After a small incident involving the local drug addicts, your friend Eric and you flee to Manhattan and begin your journey to become pro.
Now, Eric is a little fucking shit stain. He's written to be insufferable, that's obvious. In the few cutscenes we see him in, where we get our little tidbits of story here and there, the writers did an amazing job of making me want to hit him with my trucks until he just, His ultimate betrayal in Vancouver really fueled my rage and, well, I guess spoilers for a 21-year-old game. When you beat him in the end and get your tape back, that was one of the best wins, one of the best finales of my childhood.
So yeah, that's it I guess. I had a ton of fun revisiting this game, and while there's less to say about it than I thought, I'm glad I did this video. It gave me the motivation to play this game again, properly play it and examine all its features. I have a lot of very fond memories of this game, involving friends and family and the nostalgia of warm summer break evenings in front of that stylish PS2 Slim connected to a shitty little tube TV.
And I guess there's no better kind of nostalgia than that. Thanks for watching.